Good evening, everybody. This is Robin for another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight, and my guest is producer and director Elizabeth Blake Thomas. How's it going, Elizabeth?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. What brought you on to directing Hunt Club?
Well, as you know, David Lipper wrote it and produced it, and so David and I have worked together on a lot of projects. A rom-com as well as a young adult thriller that we've just completed, and I've also helped him on one of his horrors as first AD. So we've kind of got and his other film as well I first AD'd for him. So we kind of have a bit of a thing going where we work together. So how can I say no?
Yeah, you worked with an awesome cast. I mean, you had Casper Van Dien, Mina Savari, Maya Stohan, the London brothers. You had a great cast. Of course, Mickey Rourke. You had a great cast to play with in the film.
That is true. Well, I'm fortunate. I'm a very good friend with Mina and Maya. And Casper's become a very good friend. He's worked with several people. In fact, Mina has as well, with several people that I know and hold quite highly in the industry. So I'd heard some very good things, and they were and are amazing people.
I think so too, and I love how you directed Mina and Maya. They had that great chemistry in the film, together. How she started off as a victim, and then she ends up, meeting Tess, and Tess takes care of her, and they become a family. And through that whole movie, I loved how they played off each other. It was great. It felt like they were really, like a big family, trying to survive and, trying to.
Definitely. Well, that first scene that you see in the movie was actually the last scene of the entire shoot. So that was done at night outside a gas station with all the stunts. And it was a lot of intense work trying to get the stunts to take place. And everyone was very tired at the end of the shoot. And they pulled it off. In fact, there was one moment where Mina, when the blood spatters on her face.
Yeah.
So we knew that we didn't have the ability to get it a second time. We didn't have the time. We didn't have the outfits there. So we literally had to do everything. And then we got to that moment and we were saying, are you sure we got everything? Are you sure we got everything? Because we were about to ruin her entire outfit and makeup. And then we did that piece.
Yeah, how much fun did Mina have to be all covered in blood through the film?
I don't know if it was particularly fun, if I'm honest. But she was a true sport with everything that she did. Her dedication is out of this world. She's thoroughly committed to what she does. She's an exceptionally wonderful person, a mother and a friend, and it's just dedicated, throws her heart into everything.
That's pretty good. Let's talk about Maya Stohan, who plays Tess. She had a lot of good scenes in the movie, especially a lot of fighting scenes. So how did you prepare her to do all the, choreographed scenes, like the fighting scenes?
She's just fabulous anyway. One of the scenes where she has to bring that kayak up, it's kind of the first time you see her battling. We actually shot that somewhere totally different. That was actually back in LA once we'd wrapped. So she's pulling that kayak up. And we have these two guys there who are professional stunt artists. And so we're literally deciding at that moment, going, okay, how can you do this? How can this be real? Which angle do we need the camera? And because they're actual stunt performers, they were really able to get into it with her. And she just nails every stunt. She's phenomenal.
I think she is. And by seeing how she was doing well, kicking ass in the film, taking these big guys, I thought maybe she was like a professional martial artist or a fighter before. But, now what you just told me, that really got me more interested, because I thought she was a legit martial artist.
No, she does know her stuff. So she was fully able to do all of that. But again, what you have to be careful of when you have a performer actually taking part in those stunts, that they don't get hurt. The last film that I just did, we had a stunt double for one lead, and the actor who is a stunt artist played his role and did that. And again, you're constantly going, oh, but is this okay? You can't hurt yourself. Are you all right doing this? You know, it's too dangerous.
Yeah, and in the scene where she cut off the dude's, like, nuts, man, I felt that. I watched it, I felt it, and I was like, damn!
Every man did. Again, there were quite a few discussions about what we show, how we show it.
Yeah.
And it was very much agreed amongst the majority of us that we don't need to be explicit. The concept is there, and then you show that blood. I mean, we don't need to see anything else. It's everybody knows what that feels like.
Yeah, and also, what was it like working with Casper Van Dien? This guy can play any role, and lately he's been playing a lot of villainous roles. And then on this film, I wanted to hate him so much. I mean, he was a crazy, messed up cowboy.
Well, isn't that difficult? Because first of all, he's a gentleman. He is one of the kindest, sweetest, loving fathers, doting fathers, and husbands that I know. The first thing he did when we were on set was introduce us to his wife. Just shows what kind of person he is, and also his wonderful daughter, who is an absolute treasure, the one I've met.
Okay.
And so for him to play that evil role, it was funny because he did have to say, I'm really sorry, this is not who I am, this is not what I'm like, and make sure that we, you know, felt comfortable within that. But again, that just shows what a gentleman he is.
Yeah, he is. I've met him a couple times at a couple conventions, and he's really a genuine, you know, fun guy. I mean, he really takes his time, you know, talking with everybody, and I totally agree with you. I also loved your style, how you filmed the film, the cinematography. I'm a fan of cinematography, and I love how you directed the certain shots of the film, of how you portrayed the characters in certain scenes.
Well, that has to go to Duncan. Duncan's the DP. Duncan has worked on all projects with me. He is excellent at what he does. And, you know, you can be creative, but you also can't be too creative because we are just telling a story that needs to make sure we get coverage, needs to make sure that we've got the angles that are necessary. You can play with things, but that's all coming down to the edit. And again, it was edited very well. So it's all about having a process with a team together that understand what's necessary, having respect for that team, working on set with that respect, because it's every single crew member that brought that together. You know, if the makeup people had decided to do something differently, then it wouldn't have looked like it did. Every element is crucial, and the DP is very specific with what he wants it to look like, because also we're trying to sell something here that's not overly arty. It is something that is for the masses.
Yeah, and a little bit, the movie was a little bit disturbing because, you know, how, you know, the men lure these women onto this island, you know, to be on a hunt, and if they, you know, survive to get $100,000. And it kind of felt like more like a human sex trafficking, you know, corporation going on, luring these women, like, you know, and treating them like slaves, making them, you know, wear these collars and just treating them for sport like animals. That was kind of a little disturbing a little bit too.
Well, that's definitely the underbelly of the story. I'm actually an ambassador for the trafficking awareness for a company called Awareness Ties. Mm-hmm. And so my first movie I ever directed, actually, called Trust, Pray, Hope, was about a young girl in Texas who got misled by a couple of youths of her age, thinking she was going to basically go on holiday, and they entrapped her in this place. Then I also directed my own short that's for the masses called Unseen, again, about being trafficked, but under the lure of social media. So this is just another form of that. The fact that these young girls paying for university, living in debt, are lured there because they believe they're going to earn that cash. And the premise is that this happens everywhere. And I would love to say to you, this is total fiction. But unfortunately, you know, there are elements of it that obviously we hopefully have added on to, but still that core concept of people being taken, unfortunately, it happens. It's there.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the movie. It was great, and I thought it was a great revenge thriller. It kind of reminded me of watching the Grindhouse films back in the day at the drive-in theater. It starts off innocent, and then the final girl, she's the one that turns the tables on the hunters that become the prey, and I just love the twist, and I love how it ended. Casper Van Dien's character's son, I felt for him. He was so innocent. He really didn't really want to be part of this hunt, but he had to prove something for his dad, and he didn't know what he was doing and stuff. And I like how he had that chemistry with Cassandra. How Cassandra's like, you're a better person than this. You really don't need to be doing this. And I love how Cassandra really kind of opened his eyes a little bit. And then when you see that scene where you're going into that tunnel, where you see all these dead bodies, you see him there, and you don't know if Cassandra's going to kill him or let him survive. I love that twist to that, how you made the twist to that. And then towards the ending, I was pretty satisfied. I love how you threw the curveball, between Cassandra and, the young man. I just love the twist on it, because you really didn't know what was going to happen between those two.
Well, I think even that in itself, it's a mother-son story. He lost his mother, and that's why he's with his father in this place. And the father doesn't know how to handle him. And so Cassandra, as a mother who lost her daughter, who has that hope until that very moment as well, that's the change. Because up until that point, she's thinking to herself, I'm hoping I'm going to find my daughter. We're going to survive. Yeah. That's all that I want to get out of this. And then that moment when she finds that bracelet and realizes, we have those flashbacks. And again, we shot those at a totally different time. We actually shot those whilst we were filming the next movie, which was quite interesting. And we had the girl come there and, try and portray what that would have been like, so that we hated Mickey Rourke's character even more. But for Cassandra to realize that she's lost her daughter and therefore all hope, does that mean she has the revenge on everybody? No, she probably gets more soul and connects with that son and says, do you know what? I can help you here.
Yeah, like I said, I like the ending, and I hope they do a sequel to it where it continues with Cassandra and Tess. I'd like to see what they do next, because they got the book of all those crazy men in there, and I love how they use the Greek mythology, goddess names, which was pretty clever, and the one thing I laughed was at the part where you had the other girl who survived, and they go, what's her name? And she's like, Diane. And I started laughing. I go, oh my gosh, that is so Greek mythology right there, Diana. I started laughing. I thought it was clever, and, I'm like, I hope there's another sequel to this, so I like to see him get revenge on more men.
Well, wouldn't it be fabulous? Because we could actually do a sequel where it could be, we could go to Greece, we could go to Italy, we could go to the Bahamas. I mean, I like that concept. So drop that in with the producer and let's see if we can just travel the world.
I think it would be fun. I think it'd be a great franchise of films. I mean, a lot of people will be enjoying it, because a lot of people like these revenge thrillers, where it turns up, where the prey becomes, the hunter and stuff. I like those type of movies, Like a good example, there was one film I saw, it was called The Hunt, where they threw this, innocent girl, she was getting hunted down, and then she was taking everybody out. She was like a going after all the, American patriots and stuff like that.
Yeah, everyone likes movies like that. Sometimes you just got to have a very simple kind of horror comedy slasher.
Yes. So, are you also big into horror? Are you a big horror fan?
Well, so I'll tell you something funny. No, I get very scared. So I get very scared at things and I can't watch. And I hate things, you know, when Maya breaks his neck, I can't watch those things back because it's just the sound effect on there. It just freaks me out. So no, I'm not. However, the last film I just filmed, which actually Latigo again produced with David, and he stars in it as well. My daughter, who is Director of Development at Latigo, wrote it and produced it with them and starred in it, called Calm as a Bitch. It is a young adult horror thriller. I think it's more thriller than horror, but it's still scary. It's still got horrible things in it. It's still, you know, so it's funny. I'm more of a rom-com-y person, especially when I watch them, but yeah, I seem to be directing, and I've just been offered another one as well that I'm going to direct in Texas. Again, more of an action thriller. I love action. I really enjoy the stunts. And I love doing those angles and working out the stunt doubles. That really excites me. But no, not a total horror fan, if I'm honest.
I'm going to start laughing if some people start offering you all these horror films to like to direct. I'm going to be like this. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth's going to be doing this. And I remember when Elizabeth said she didn't like horror. She's a rom-com fan.
I know. I know.
I'm going to crack up if some people are like, hey, can you direct this horror film for me?
Yeah, I know. It is literally what's been happening. I'm like, I do other things. I mean, I have to say I've directed all genres. I've directed kids' films, rom-coms, family dramas, true stories, horrors. You know, someone said you can't do every genre, and I was like, well, why can't I? I need to try them to know if I like them.
I think so too. Now let's talk about your daughter. She's part of. She's in the industry with you too, and she gets to work with you. Tell me a little bit about mother and daughter entertainment.
Yeah, so obviously I'm the mother, she's the daughter, and we just realised that we wanted to put an umbrella name over everything that we do because we were making so many projects. So she is an actress and she works full-time as well, and she's also actually studying for a degree, so I don't know how she does it. And she and I really focus on everything that has a message, making content that matters. And even this film, there's still a message there of sorts. Sometimes it's just maybe about having fun. So that's okay too. But it's very important when we work together. We have the best time. We absolutely love it. And I feel very fortunate that we get to do that. And our next film, we've got a rom-com called Love at First Fight. She's producing that and been writing it with one of my other screenwriters, Riley. And we're looking forward to making that together too under the umbrella of Mother-Daughter.
That's pretty good too. I also like it nowadays. There's more female directors, female writers, and female crews making films. I think that's great because there's a lot of great female filmmakers have made a lot of, kick-ass action flicks, horror films. And I just love it how you're seeing more and more, female film directors going out there and making the name for themselves, paying their dues and getting right up to the top. I think that's phenomenal too.
I mean, look, it's still hard work, but I think this industry is hard work, and that's where I don't want to disillusion by saying just because I'm a woman. There are so many of us. Unfortunately, when you're in a crew, there's only one director.
Yeah.
Everybody else, you can have lots of PAs, lots in the lighting, the grips, all the other departments, makeup, hair, everything. You can have 2, 3, 4 plus people, but a director, there is just only one. And so a few of my friends who are directors, I'm absolutely aware that if that's their gig, that's their gig. I don't go into theirs. They don't go into my world. You just hope you get given the opportunities and you support when you can. And, I got given the opportunity of introducing a director to a producer the other day, and he got given the film. And that's okay. He had more credits to his name, but there's definitely more support. It's still not easy, but as I said, I don't think it's easy at all in this industry. It is about tenacity. I had a wonderful friend called Ashley, who is a director, and she actually directs, and she's an actress, directs with Hallmark. And I saw something the other day that she had given someone an opportunity, and I emailed her and said, hey, if there's ever the chance, I'd love to do it. And she said, oh my gosh, she said, I've already put your name down. You were there last year in that list. And so that is a wonderful feeling, because even if you might not see it happening immediately, I'm showing that I can do it. I've got a Pure Flix TV series coming out, I think June or July. And again, that's showing that I can do TV. So you just have to hope these things are going on in the background and just keep going and enjoying yourself.
I think so too, and that's a great advice to give to anybody that's getting into any type of craft. But when you're not filmmaking, producing, or directing all that fun stuff, what does Elizabeth Blake Thomas like to do for fun? What's your passion? You after you're done, it's like, I love my passion. What is that passion?
Okay, so I'm actually a mind coach and a healer with Medicine with Words, which is a company I set up. And that is my purpose, my passion, any of those words you want to use. Basically, in fact, I'm surrounded by my books. I read, I write, I've created mindful tools, this methodology that I live by, and I write articles, I run sessions, I have clients, and that to me is my kind of like breathing time, my breathing space. And I run those mindful tools with myself. So I love doing that. It just checks me in all the time. Am I brain breathing? How are my manifestation mirrors looking? All of these elements that I've created. And that to me, and I know it's the right thing, because my daughter said to me, Mummy, your face lights up when you talk about it. So for me, the pleasure of that and looking at all of these other techniques like Ikigai, which is a Japanese philosophy, all the way to something as simple as Buddhism, which everybody knows about, finding these elements, learning something new, sitting there looking out at the water on the sea, and just absorbing that and taking my time out from me and giving that time to people. It's the best drug ever.
I think it is. And also by you doing that, does it also help you, like when you're like working behind the camera and producing, does it give you like that zen, which really helps you what you need to do without,
100%. 100%. And that's what really has taken me, I think, to another level, because it also takes you to a place of, well, kind of nothing matters and what if it did, and letting it go. I wrote a book and I have a podcast and a featurette all in the same name, Filmmaking Without Fear. And I have my next book coming out later this year called Living with Intention. And so both of those are aligned with the way that I have to run my life in order to be in this industry and what else I do as well.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, that takes a lot of, dedication and patience. I'm one of those ones, I mean, I'll try it too, but it's really hard for me to concentrate. It's like, I'm like a multitasker. I'm like, I need to take a deep breath. I need to take a deep breath, just like how I love podcasting and meeting and talking to different people. Sometimes I have to get in that right zen, because, I just got to make sure it's just a fun podcast. You know what I mean?
No, I understand. Again, there's a purpose behind it and you work out what that purpose is.
Yeah.
But I think for me, taking that time out and then getting into these habits, bringing them onto set when I'm there. Mm-hmm. And look, we're all human. I mean, I write articles for several magazines, and one of them actually was just called We Are All Human. Yeah. Because, I'm going to mess up sometimes. I'm going to suddenly react. But as long as I've got that place to get me back to, then, that keeps me going.
I like that. I just can feel the positive aura through this podcast, It's making me feel good. I mean, I definitely have to, check out your book. It seems like it'd be a great read. So, have you also did any, like acting as well besides producing and directing? Did you ever act in anything?
Only by mistake. Now, when I was younger, I was, that's how you get into it. And so I was a lead at Nottingham Playhouse when I was 10 years old. And I didn't really know about TV and film. I only knew theatre. And then I ran a theatre company back in London. And then my daughter was the one that first got an agent, age 4.5, 5. And she was on a BBC CBeebies show for kids. And so I just kind of got taken along with her. And then it wasn't until I came out to LA with her that I was told, I should be a director. And I said, how do I do that? And this wonderful chap said to me, you just say you're a director. So that's kind of how it started. And so for me, the acting was never really going to work for me. But I think I could do it, but I think I'd get very scared. I don't know if I can remember all those lines. But I much prefer being behind the camera. As I said, by accident, I helped a couple of people out when they said, can you do this? Like, I think I was in a movie that's quite a lead role, and I actually played Isabella's grandma, which is most embarrassing because I don't look that old, but that's somewhere online. I've never actually watched the full thing because I can't. But the only thing that acts is Chai, my Maltese. She's in every film. She is in films by accident as well as on purpose.
So, when you got into directing, working right behind the camera, your very first time, how nervous were you when you're like, okay, they're letting me direct my first project, my first film, the director here? What was going through your mind right now?
Well, I have to say absolutely nothing, because when you read the book and listen to my podcast, you'll realize the first one I created. I got someone to fund $250,000-ish. And come up with the idea. So I had to write a script. I'd never done that before, and direct it. And I remember my DP, who's the same as this last one, who's always working with me. I remembered saying to him, I really want a shot like this, or showing him something. And he said, well, you can't do that. I said, well, of course you can. You just put the camera over here. And so because I didn't know anything, because I'd never been to film school, I was never afraid. And that's why I called the book Filmmaking Without Fear, because I'm not afraid. I don't feel there's a reason why you can't do something. Mm-hmm. And now as time's progressed, I now ask the right questions. You're saying I can't do that because of what? Because I don't have enough lights? Because it's not going to look good in the edit? Because the sound can't reach? If there's a technical reason, let me know. But in that first film, I remember I did this 8-minute long shot, okay? And then when I was in the edit and I realized, I was like, oh, we don't want to watch this for 8 minutes. I see. That's what inserts are. Okay, I get that, or how you break it up. But I love the fact that I didn't know, because then I've learned through those challenging moments. I never call them mistakes. They're just experiences.
That's pretty cool. So where can everybody find you on social media to see what your next projects are, and of course your upcoming book, all that great stuff?
Okay, so you can follow me on @Elizabeth_B_T and @Medicine with Words. You can sign up for my newsletter, medicinewithwords.com. I also have @MotherAndDaughterEnt. And then I'm also on TikTok for Medicine with Words, which is very exciting because I'm not very good at it, but somebody else helps me. So, yes, and Google me and you'll find my book and you'll find my podcast and featurette on the YouTube as well. And we have a YouTube for Mother and Daughter Entertainment.
I'll definitely have to subscribe to that, and I'm definitely going to have to check out your little TikTok videos.
I know. I have this thing called Tea Time Tuesday, when I get everybody very calm. I hold a cup of tea, and I say, hello, my lovelies. How are you doing today?
I love it. I'm definitely going to check that out. Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming on, with me. It was very fun. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
And everybody, thank you for listening to Horror Pop After Midnight.